Hello, book lovers! Today, I will tell you the incredible stories of 10 characters that we know from comics, movies, and books, but actually lived in real life. Yes, you did not hear wrong. Some of these characters came out of the dusty pages of history and entered popular culture. Are you ready? Then don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Let's get started. 1. Sherlock Holmes, the extraordinary intelligence of Dr. Joseph Bell. True story. Arthur Conan Doyle's famous detective, Sherlock Holmes, was actually inspired by Scottish surgeon Dr. Joseph Bell. Bell could diagnose his patients only by looking at physical symptoms, so much so that he could guess a patient's occupation, place of residence, and past before the patient even spoke. Doyle admired this ability while working as Bell's assistant and created the character of Holmes. Unknown detail. Bell was also a pioneer in the field of forensic medicine and was even a consultant in the Jack the Ripper case. 2. Dracula. Vlad the Impaler. Vlad Tepes. True story, Bram Stoker's horror classic. Dracula actually traces the life of Vlad III, the 15th century Prince of Wallachia. Vlad, known as Vlad the Impaler, was famous for executing his enemies by impaling them on stakes. So much so that it is claimed that he impaled 20,000 people against the Ottoman army. Unknown detail. Vlad had a fetish for beheading and was rumored to drink the blood of his victims like wine. Stoker created Dracula after hearing these stories. Tarzan, a true story of a wild child. True story, Edgar Rice Burroughs' Tarzan character was inspired by real-life stories of children growing up in the jungle. For example, a boy named Victor of Aveyron was found in the wilderness in 18th century France and never learnt to speak. Unknown detail. In Uganda in the 20th century, a boy named John Sabunia was raised by monkeys and later discovered by humans. 4. Zorro. Mexican revolutionary Joaquin Murrieta. True story, the Masked Warrior. Zorro was inspired by Joaquin Murrieta, a Mexican revolutionary who fought against the United States during the Gold Rush. After his family was massacred by the Americans, Murrieta formed a gang for revenge and tried to bring justice. Unknown detail. Murrieta's severed head was displayed in a jar of alcohol for a while. 5. Robin Hood, bandits, taxes, and forest legends. True story, who Robin Hood really is still debated, but the bandit Roger Godbird, who lived in England in the 13th century, is one of the strongest candidates. Godbird was a bandit who stole from the rich and distributed to the poor. Unknown detail. In the Middle Ages, the name Robin Hood was a term used for all outlaws. 6. Conan the Barbarian, the forgotten warriors of history. True story, Conan, created by Robert E. Howard, was inspired by ancient warrior tribes such as the Cimmerians and Scythians. In particular, the Cimmerian king Tugdami was famous for his ruthless war tactics. Unknown detail. Howard was also influenced by Cu Chulainn in Celtic mythology when creating the character. Moby Dick, a true story of revenge. True story. Herman Melville's Moby Dick was based on the sinking of a ship named Essex by a giant whale in 1820. The ship's crew struggled with hunger and cannibalism for 90 days in the ocean. Unknown detail. The real whale was known as Mocha Dick and attacked more than 100 ships for 20 years. 8. King Kong, the dark history of gorillas and humans. True story. King Kong was inspired by the tragic stories of gorillas kidnapped from Africa in the early 20th century. For example, a gorilla named Mbongo was exhibited at the zoo in the 1920s and tortured by humans. Unknown detail. The creators of King Kong added the scene of climbing the Empire State Building, inspired by a plane crash. 9. Lara Croft, legacy of real women explorers. True story, Tomb Raider's Lara Croft bears traces of real female archaeologists and explorers. For example, Gertrude Bell explored the Middle East and became famous for her archaeological work. Unknown detail. Lara Croft's appearance was inspired by the British comic book character Tank Girl. 10. James Bond, The Secret World of Spies. True story. Ian Fleming's James Bond character was inspired by real spies who served in World War II. In particular, SAS Commando Fitzroy McLean and Agent Dusko Popov were the prototypes of Bond. Unknown detail. Popov led one of the biggest espionage operations in history by bluffing against the Nazis in a casino. Conclusion. Well, friends, here are 10 incredible characters who came out of real life and blended into fiction. Did you know these stories? Which one surprised you the most? Write in the comments. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the video. See you in the next video.